Hey everyone, Glenn Sanford here, founder of eXp Realty and also CEO. I'm excited this week to speak with Paula Snow. She's a four-time ICON agent with eXp out of Pensacola, Florida, and also the ICON of the year for 2022. So congratulations on that, Paula.
Thank you, Glenn.
Well, one, thanks for being on the podcast, but you've started out, I guess, in a totally different industry. I think as a flight attendant,
hmm
and then real estate ended up being your plan B. What was your history getting into real estate, and how's the journey been?
So the journey has been great. Here we are, like 22 or 23 years later. And to be honest, like it was never a plan that I had thought about. I thought, I did want to travel the world, and I thought flight attendant was going to be what I did for the rest of my life. And I did it for about 3.5 years. And as a junior flight attendant back then, my flights were all to overseas to Europe. And this is like pre-internet days. So we would get to Europe, and this is pre-smartphone days. And so you were just kind of stuck in your room watching BBC, and sometimes the food wasn't the greatest. But after 3.5 years of doing it, it was the night flights that really wore me out. And I couldn't do it. My body needs like regular sleep. I love my sleep during regular hours. And after 3.5 years, I said, this isn't for me. And a good friend of mine at the time, who is a hairdresser, said, Paula, you're friendly. He goes, you like people. Why don't you go into real estate? And that was it. It was just a simple suggestion. And I was like, okay, well, let's give that a try. And then here we are 20 something years later.
Okay, and did you start in Pensacola, or where did you start your business?
No, so I was born and raised in Toronto. So I started in Toronto. And getting a real estate license in Canada is very cumbersome. It's a lot of work to get a real estate license. So I got my real estate license up there. And then 3 years later, I got married and moved to Maryland and joined like a family mom and pop husband wife brokerage and worked there for a couple of years. And then he's now my ex-husband, he retired out of the Air Force, and we moved to Florida in 2005, I believe, to be closer to his kids.
Okay, awesome. And so then you've been an active agent there in Florida
hmm
since 2005.
Yes. So I became an active agent. I got my license in Florida when I moved in 2005. And then I was blessed to get pregnant with my twin girls. And so we decided that I would take, just some time off. So I took 3 years off, and I ended up going back to work. I think it was like in 2009.
Okay. And we talked just a little bit before about how you saw a little bit, you were involved a little bit in that downturn in
hmm
the market. In 2009 certainly it was pretty rough,
It
especially the
was.
beginning of 2009. Of course, we started eXp in 2009 because of the rough market.
Okay. That's
Um,
right.
yeah, it was an interesting time for sure. And of course, now we're going through a little bit of an interesting time with the Fed doing all the things that it's doing. Totally
hmm
different, but still it's making big shifts in the market.
Yeah.
So so you've been with eXp now for 4 years, and
hmm
or for at least 4 years, four-time icon. What was it that stood out to you about eXp? What brought you over here?
So at the time when I came over, I had my own brokerage here in town, and we were a small brokerage, maybe like 10 agents. But it was tough for me. I felt like I was wearing all of the hats in terms of like I was still actively selling, and yet here I was, coaching other agents, having to manage like, background things. Sometimes like they would be even like feuds amongst agents, and then they would come to me. And so it was just too many hats that I felt like was taking up a lot of time. And so I knew that I wanted to make a change. And so when a friend of mine suggested EXP, I watched, there was some video on YouTube that I watched. And the big thing that attracted me was just seeing the opportunity for ICON and the benefits that came with that. And I thought, well, this is a no-brainer because I would qualify for, based on production, I would qualify for the ICON award. And so, I mean, that was it. That was the big motivating factor. And it's been a blessing because, and Glenn, I just qualified for my 5th ICON last night.
Oh, congratulations. So
Yeah,
really,
thank
really
you.
it's a 5-time ICON award
Yeah.
winning.
Yeah, my husband was so excited. I said, I got the email, when a transaction closes out, and it was his transaction. So of course he was like, my transaction did it. My transaction got us to ICON. So we're pretty excited about that. But I mean, that's a huge blessing where I think, man, it would have been so nice if eXp would have been around when I started in real estate way back when. And if I would have built up that ICON award over the years, it would have been really, really nice. So it's exciting for agents now that this opportunity is available.
Oh yeah, no. And I say this with all sincerity. Uh, if eXp had existed, I would have been an agent there because there's a lot of brain damage, as you know, running a real estate brokerage and putting all the systems and processes together and all the other things. It's nice to be on just the agent side and being able to take advantage of all the
Yes.
tools and systems. So you were named our ICON Agent of the Year 2022. So that was for your production levels. There was some cultural commitments and some other things. But how did that come about? What was it that you were doing that kind of got you into that work? By the way, I'm just coming back in as CEO, so it's kind of interesting because there's a lot of things that were being done. Now I'm going to be more intimately involved in for
Mhm.
understanding the whole process. But how did that all come about?
Um, so this is going to sound like very ignorant. I'm just going to totally say this. I have no idea how it came about. So
Okay,
I was very
so you and I are in the
surprised.
same boat.
Yeah, like I was very surprised when Elizabeth Riley called me. We've been to every eXp Con and every shareholder summit, but we didn't go. This was the first time we didn't attend Vegas because we had just come back from a 3-week trip. We went to Colombia, South America with a group of like 19 family members. So we were just physically tired. And as much as I wanted to go, I said, we'd already had our tickets, and my husband and I said, we just need a break. We just need to stay home. So it was very surprising to me one night, Elizabeth Riley calls and says, hey, you won this. And I was like, who even votes for this? And she goes, who cares? But you won. So I have no idea how I got it other than, thank you to
Then you
whoever
did.
voted for me. Yeah. But I mean,
Okay.
all I've really done is from the beginning, I've been teaching a class in the world for, cultural commitment.
Hmm.
And that's been a great like learning and growing experience. I remember, the very first time I did it and they said, hey, we'd like you to teach a class. I was like, sure. What do you want me to teach on? I thought EXP was going to give me the material to talk about. And then they said, oh, no, you have to create a course. And I was like, well, I don't know how to do that. So, I mean, there's just so many other benefits of being at EXP that stretch us, in ways that I didn't even know were possible. So I created this course. It's called Delivering Wow, and I've taught it for all the years that I've been here. And it basically is just simple strategies for agents on how to follow up and stay in touch with their past clients. Because most of our business is by referral at this point. And I feel like it's so much easier to work with a repeat or a referral client versus a cold lead. So if we can, figure out strategies to stay in touch with those past clients and keep those relationships warm, then there's going to be a much higher likelihood of getting referrals.
Right. And now what is your do you have a team? I think maybe, or is it you and your
So
husband? What's the
yeah,
team structure look like?
So it's actually just my husband and myself. And then we are kind of, so we're a domestic team, but then we kind of run a self-organized team where we help, let's say, other agents and will maybe pass on some leads to them. But we don't have like the formal team where, everything goes under us. And so I just moving over here, part of moving to eXp, I just thought I wanted to simplify life a little bit, have more balance, be able to have a little bit better time with family, with my kids. And so I feel like having a self-appointed team where I can give some leads out to other agents and they handle it and they've got their mentors is just a much easier way for us to do it.
Okay, no, that makes it makes total sense.
Hmm.
There is a lot of work in actually running a team, as anybody who's run a team knows. And
Yes.
if you can do it and you can get the same or similar results without having to go through all the brain damage, then that makes sense. Now you did. I saw in 2022 you did about 51 real estate sides. So that was
Hmm.
you and your husband.
Yep. That
Um,
was my husband and I.
yeah, and so congratulations. That's
Thank you.
and your volume was up. Total sale volume was up over 2021. So even in a
Hmm.
market that was softening, you guys had a better year overall than 2021.
Yeah, yeah, we did. We're very thankful for that. And, our price point in our area has not been the highest. So when I went back to work in 2009, I can remember I was a single mom at the time. And so I would take leads from other agents, that they didn't want to work. And they were sometimes like $45,000. I mean, super cheap houses. But I'll tell you what, Glenn, some of those leads that I took in the lower price ranges have become some of my most loyal clients. And that's something I tell new agents is, if you're just starting off and you don't have a ton of business, don't be scared to take that lower price transaction, because if you do a great job for that person, they're going to remember you and then they're going to refer you on to others, and then they'll come back and possibly do repeat business with you.
Yeah, no, it was great advice. That was actually something that even me, as an individual agent, I worked with. I worked with whoever it was that wanted to primarily buy real estate, no matter what the price point was. I only started to refer out until I got too busy to actually
Mhm.
work with all the clients. And then I started to refer out, and then it ultimately became a team, et cetera, et cetera. But that I noticed a lot of agents who would shy away from real estate in a certain price point. They also
Mhm.
tended to struggle in business overall. And so there's magic in serving anybody who has an interest in buying or selling real estate, because it actually helps you actually sell more real estate.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, and to this day, we will still help anybody out, regardless of the price range. We restructured things a little bit. The last 2 years were absolutely crazy busy, and there wasn't enough time to get out and, help everybody that was looking to buy or sell. So, what we do that kind of helps us and helps other agents, maybe that are newer starting out, is we will, if we're not available, we have several agents that will help us as a showing assistant. So they might go out and do the showings for us. And then that frees up some of our time, because balance is a big thing for me. And my girls are 16 years old. They're twin girls. And so I feel like I am counting down the time for them to possibly leave home and go to college. So I want to make sure I have enough time with the kids, with my husband, and be able to go to their sporting events and be there for them. So having some showing assistants has been a huge way to kind of help leverage some time.
Awesome. Um, so what now? How do you obviously built a nice practice? What has been your way of, how do you generate clients? What you mentioned referrals. Is it like how you mentioned wow experiences? Maybe you can just kind of go into that a little bit more. How you create the referrals and the repeats and that type of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So we kind of plan out our year. So in my class, when I teach the class, I tell people, pull out a piece of paper and write down all of the months for the year, and then kind of figure out what touch points do you want to do with your past clients. So it could be something around a holiday, or it could be something around a season. So for example, um, this week, actually, we just mailed out the closing statement for all of our customers that closed last year. And that's just, we've been doing that for years. And we put a little cover letter in there, thanking them for our business. And then we also let them know what our goal is for next year. So in the letter, I said, we're looking to help 75 families this coming year. If you know of anybody looking to buy or sell, please give us a shout. So it's a gentle way to ask. It's not just one specific thing, but it's a little bit of everything. And so they all appreciate that. I used to initially email it, and then customers would say, I would say, if you don't have it, if you want me to mail it to you, let me know. And then they would come back and say, well, I don't have a printer, or I'm out of ink, or I don't have paper. So I had enough people asking me for a hard copy that I decided it's just easier to mail it to everybody. And then come February is Valentine's Day. So we'll deliver chocolate to our past customers with a little, just a little pop by tag that says, thank you, we appreciate you. And so my thing is, we want to be in the friend zone with our past customers. So I try not to make it about business. So I'm not hard pressing people, asking them, hey, do you know of anyone looking to buy or sell? Because I don't want it to come off robotic. I want it to come off organic and natural. So I'm just maintaining friendship with my clients. And it's in doing that that we stay top of mind with them. So we'll do that, the January, February. In the summer, we do a customer appreciation event. We did it at the baseball game. There's like a minor league team here, and we invite all of our past customers, and, they get to come out, have a meal, watch a game. It's just a great opportunity to reconnect with everybody. And even, I would say, maybe like 30% of the clients come. But even the ones that don't come, they always send a note saying they appreciate that we're staying in touch with them and that we invite them to things. So, we send out the invitation, and next thing you know, they are the ones that bring up the conversation and say, hey, my brother is looking to buy, my neighbor is looking to sell. Can I give him your number? And so it really just happens naturally. In the fall, I think we gave out like 100 pies. We go to Sam's Club and we buy a bunch of pies: apple, cherry, pecan, pumpkin, and we call it pie and ice cream. So we do it at an ice cream shop, and the customers get to come and have, ice cream, and then they take their pie home with them. We chit chat, we catch up. And so it's just figuring out, those are our touch points. And so it's just figuring out what touch points an agent wants to do, like I said, whether it's a holiday or a season, and then making sure to stay in touch with those past clients.
Awesome. I think one of the big things, and I've talked about this with agents relative to agent attraction. I say it's just lunch, and that whole. But back in the airline days, you remember in the magazines,
Yeah.
there's always
Yeah.
it's just lunch.
Yes, the dating
But
service.
the dating service, but the idea is that, just, go have lunch with somebody. Don't pitch EXP. They'll naturally bring it up, because
Hmm.
and I think that's the same thing with clients. If you don't bring it up, they know that that's what you do for a living. And if you bought them lunch, you've done something nice for them, then in the sort of the words of Robert Cialdini, he wrote the book Influence of Psychology of Persuasion. They have a social obligation or to reciprocate. And the way they
Hmm.
reciprocate is by buying or selling real estate.
Yeah.
And so it's a really great trade. You buy them a pie, they buy a piece of real estate. So
Yes.
it's a It's a great trade.
Yeah, it really is. And then, we also will, Facebook friend request most of our clients, most of them are on Facebook. And then that's an easy way for us to kind of like follow along, see what's going on with their lives. If somebody has a baby, we can send a little gift for that. If somebody has a death in the family, we could send a card. So Facebook has been really amazing at letting us stay in touch with people and kind of see what's going on with their lives.
So now one of the standard questions I have is, do you have a favorite CRM? But would you put Facebook into the category of CRM?
I've never thought about it, but yeah, I guess so. I could definitely see where sometimes, like when we sell a house, our we have a virtual assistant, and so she'll create a little graphic for us. And so I always try to tell a story, of whatever happened in that transaction. I tell a little story. If there were like any hiccups, if there was anything like we learned, I tell a story about that. And so my husband will say, "Should we post this to the Facebook business page?" And I always tell him, I'm like, "No, post it to the personal page first," because I've realized that for our sphere and people we know, they love to read those little stories, and they see that we're active in real estate. And I notice that we're getting a ton of referrals from that.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. And it's repetition over time. Sometimes if they don't see you, they forget who you are.
Right.
Um, and so, as yeah, Grant Cardone, not it says, if they don't know you, they can't flow you. That's his phrase for that. So, making sure that they know you and know what you do, that gives you more opportunities for them to connect. Do you have a favorite CRM?
I have two that I use. So I love KV Core. I've been using KV Core from the beginning, and then I've always used Realty Juggler for many, many, many years. So I kind of tend to put my past clients into Realty Juggler, and it's just a little bit easier for me to find them in there. And then I love KV Core for several reasons. I mean, there's different things you can purchase in the marketplace within there, like boosting a listing when we have a listing. But I mean, now that the market has softened, and now that I thought, okay, we're going to have to start hunting for business a little bit more. I love that, on the KV Core dashboard, I could see who's been looking at what. And then every day, KV Core sends me an email of 10 people to follow up with.
Okay, awesome. Well, no, KV Core is a great platform. I
Mhm.
know we have different people who love different platforms. We just put together a really a great deal with Chime, where people can get Chime accounts for $25 a month, as well. So, but if there was one piece of advice you could give to an EXP agent, what would it be?
So one piece of advice I would say, definitely stay in touch with your past clients. Do not let those relationships grow cold. Because I learned the hard way that the more time that passes by, if you decide at some point, oh, you know what, I'm going to start following up with my past clients, and you've let those relationships grow cold, it's harder to rekindle and warm those relationships up again.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, so it's easier to keep the fire going when it hasn't went out.
Yes, absolutely.
So well, this has been great. Paula, thanks for jumping on the podcast with us. I know a lot of our agents are going to take some great uh, ideas and snippets out of this, and then they can. Where can they reach you? Like if an agent wants to reach out to you, or even a potential client, if someone sees this.
Yeah, absolutely. Either you can find me on Workplace, you can find me on Instagram at Realtor Paula Snow, or you could just call me 850-377-6098.
Good stuff. Well, thanks again,
Thank you, Glenn.
and thanks everyone for listening to this expansion podcast with Paula Snow. Thanks everyone.